Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to take you through what I think is one of the most useful and helpful tools when it comes to trying to lose fat, build muscle, or do anything for which tracking macros is helpful. I did talk about this tool a couple videos ago, but I really wanted to do a deep dive into how to use it and the different benefits that you can get out of it and the different applications that it has so that you guys can really maximize your own benefit from this tool if you choose to download it. Speaking of which, I will leave the link to download it in the description box below if you want to use it. It's free. Now this tool is my macro averager tool, which honestly needs a cooler name, but for now we're calling it the macro averager, and it's pretty basic. It's just an Excel spreadsheet that helps you calculate your weekly average macro and calorie intake. And I know this sounds super simple, so you might be thinking, Marissa, how is this such a game changer? You're just telling me my average macros. Well, let me get into that. But first I want to give you an overview of how this tool works and just kind of show it in action, and then walk you through the benefits and different ways that you can use it. And then I want to show you the most powerful part of this tool that may blow your mind. Not gonna lie, because when you're working with averages, it's amazing how little of an impact certain things have. And this is where you get the amazing freedom that comes with using this tool and why it's so beneficial. So stick around to the end to see exactly how this really comes into play and makes things easier. But let's first get into how to use it and what exactly this tool is. So this is the tool, and what you do is you input your goals. So these are your different macro goals. Let's say for protein, you want to hit 110 grams of protein, you want 275 grams of carbs, and you want 90 grams of fat for a total of 2,350 calories per day, or on average for the week. And then as you go through the week, you input what your actual intake is. So let's say on day one, Monday, if that's your day one, you had 100 grams of protein, you had 287 grams of carbs, and then you had 87 grams of fat, and it spits out your total calorie intake for that day. A note for this is that if you are using MyFitnessPal, it is really bad at math. No one is quite sure why it's so bad at math, but the calories that it gives you are not accurate based on the macros. Total calories equals grams of protein times 4 plus grams of carbs times 4 plus grams of fat times 9. If you use that formula with MyFitnessPal and look at your macros, you're gonna see that the calories are never correct. They can be up to like 200 calories off sometimes. No idea why. It does some like weird rounding system, but go with just the macros and then use this tool to give you your actual calorie count. So not only is this tool gonna give you your daily calories, but if you start inputting your different macros throughout the week, it's going to spit out your average weekly macros and your average calories for the week. So let me just throw an example in here real quick. And then as you put in these numbers throughout the week, you can see that the numbers in the difference column change to show you how far off you are from your goal for the week. And so you can see if you need to increase or decrease to make up for certain deficiencies or surpluses in whatever area they're in. So you can see that, you know, if you're over on carbs, the difference is it's actually going to be negative. Maybe I should change that. But right now the difference is negative, so you need to eat fewer carbs so that you can hit your weekly average. So why this works, and particularly why I like to use it and why I decided to create it, is that the body functions on averages. It doesn't day to day look at what you're eating and adjust accordingly. And if you've ever tried to lose fat, you know this. Like, if you're in a certain amount of deficit, you don't lose incremental amount of weight every single day. If you've tracked macros and if you follow the IIFYM rule book, you'll know that people generally say to try to hit your macros within 5 grams every single day. So basically you're aiming for the same numbers every single day. But this is not necessary at all, because the body functions on averages. As long as you hit your average for like the week, or even the 2 to 3 weeks that you're in a deficit, that's all that matters. Day to day, your body's not gonna be like, well, she only ate 60 grams of protein this day, so I guess we're not building any muscle, and oh my god, she ate an extra 20 grams of carbs. Guess we're gonna put on like 2 more ounces of fat. That's not how it works. The body is a lot smarter than that. The body functions on averages over the week over the month, well, not really over the year, that's too long of a time span, but the body works on averages over like couple week periods. And that approach totally does work. Like if you want to hit the same macros day in and day out because that's just easier for you, you like to meal prep, so eating the same thing every day is just much more simple and straightforward, that's fine. Like you can totally do that. But let's get into the two biggest benefits of using this tool. The first one is precisely why this may actually make fat loss and muscle building more efficient, and how it might actually help you get to your goals even faster than just hitting a daily average. Now, it isn't going to make the biggest difference. Like it isn't gonna go from making you take like
a year to get to your goals to making it take 6 months.
No, but it will make a little bit of a difference and make the process a little bit more efficient. And that is because doing it this way, hitting different macros and calorie totals every day, slows the metabolic adaptation process. Regardless of whether you're trying to lose fat or build muscle, your body starts to adapt to the number of calories that you're eating. So if you're in a cutting phase and you're using this tool and you're allowing yourself to have some days where you're eating more calories, then this is going to keep your metabolism ramped up higher, and so it's going to make your deficit on average more effective. This is kind of the principle behind cheat days and why certain people incorporate cheat days when they're trying to lose fat, because they know that if they are in too much of a deficit for too long, their metabolism will start to slow down. So what this tool allows you to do is not necessarily have cheat days regularly, but it allows you to have days where you eat a little bit higher, some days where you eat a little bit lower, and then on average, you're still hitting the deficit that you want. As a note though, I do still recommend only spending 2 to 3 weeks in a deficit and then 1 to 2 weeks at maintenance after that and cycling through that, because the day-to-day changing doesn't have nearly as much of an impact as making sure you're still spending a good solid amount of time at maintenance in between your cutting phases. And then when you're bulking and actively eating in a surplus to build muscle, your body also adapts to that surplus. And so that surplus becomes less and less effective as your body speeds up the metabolism to compensate for the extra calories. And so if you're using this tool while you are actively in a surplus, you can allow yourself to have some lower days to resensitize your body to that surplus. And so it makes your surplus a lot more efficient as well. And then the second big benefit of this tool that I honestly think is the most powerful benefit is that it can drastically improve your relationship with food and with tracking macros. Even if you have a really, really great relationship with food and hitting the same macros every single day does not make you feel obsessive, if you miss the macros, you don't feel guilty about it. Like, even if everything is totally fine and you can track macros daily and be perfect about it and not have that mess with your mentality at all, I still think this lends extra breathing room to kind of clear any sort of thoughts about it out of the way. It drastically reduces the obsessive need to be super precise day to day about your macros. It completely gets rid of all the stress that you might feel in trying to hit those macros, because even if you have a good relationship with food, trying to hit your macros can be stressful if like certain life events happen, like you go out to dinner, oh no, what am I going to eat? You have to figure that out. You have to do all the macro counting, and it's just annoying and adds an extra step in your way to get to your goals. And so this eliminates that. It makes it a lot more flexible. And as an educational tool, it really demonstrates the freedom that you have when you focus on averages rather than precise numbers day to day. And this is what I'll demonstrate later, that if you go majorly off track one day or 2 days, it doesn't have nearly as much of an impact as you think it would. And so you can really pull back from the idea that your macros day to day are so critical, because they're not. And this really demonstrates that the more you use it. And so it's something that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to people who are obsessive about macro counting. Like, I think if you have a really disordered relationship with food and tracking macros makes you super obsessive and restrictive and everything, you probably shouldn't even dabble in this. But if you're someone who knows that you might be able to mend that relationship through calorie tracking and macro tracking, then this will really show you that being that obsessive is entirely unnecessary and not even helpful. And so it may help you understand the more broad impact of macros and give you that freedom in your mental space to be less obsessive and less strict about it. Another great benefit of this that I think was particularly helpful for me when I was reverse dieting, but is helpful no matter what, is that it allows you to undulate your calories somewhat more intuitively and really stay much more in tune with your body and what your body wants and respond directly to the signals that it's giving you, rather than completely ignoring your body and just sticking strictly to the same numbers every single day. And obviously, you know, if you're putting yourself intentionally in a surplus or in a deficit, you're not eating intuitively,
because you don't do that intuitively.
But it allows you to incorporate some of that listening to your body intuition that you do when you are eating intuitively. So it makes it a lot easier to transition out of calorie tracking because you have still been listening to your body. You haven't been completely ignoring its signals, but it also allows you to stay in the deficit or surplus that you're trying to. So for example, I'm using this tool to be in an active deficit right now. And so if there are days where I am less hungry, I allow myself to just eat less. And if there are days where I am more hungry, then I will allow myself to eat a little bit more, as long as on average, I'm sticking roughly to where I want to be. I can acknowledge my body's cues, I can respond to my body's cues, and obviously, yes, like, overall, I'm a little bit hungry throughout the day, most days, because I'm actively in a deficit. But if there are days where I'm like, okay, yes, I'm definitely more hungry, I can respond to that and give my body more food. And this is where this really differs from things like carb cycling or just calorie cycling in general, because usually with carb cycling, you have your specific high days, you have your specific low days, and then you have whatever else. You have a plan that you're sticking to, and you stick to that plan regardless of how you're feeling. And usually, you know, maybe you'd have high carb days on your more intense workout days or whatever it is, but you're not intuitively honoring your body's signals, even though you're still kind of, the end macros kind of might fluctuate similarly to how they would if you used the macro averager tool, but you're still not using that intuitive part to eat a little bit more naturally. So how is this going to specifically help you with your goal of bulking or reverse dieting or losing fat? Well, for bulking or reverse dieting, for me personally, and I think most people experience this, is eventually you get tired of eating in a surplus. You get tired of excess food, which someone who's currently in a deficit does not seem physically possible, but it does happen. And it can become difficult to basically force feed yourself to be in that surplus, to be able to have excess calories to convert to muscle or to speed up your metabolism. So if you're using the macro averager tool, you can allow yourself to, again, respond more naturally to your body's hunger signal. So if you have a day where you're less hungry, you can say, okay, today, I just won't eat as much. I won't be in a surplus today. Maybe I'll be in a little bit of a deficit, and that is fine. What I have found with myself and with clients is that if you spend a day or two a little bit under your goal, usually your hunger will ramp back up, and then you'll, on average, be able to hit your goal for the week with no issues and without feeling like you're force feeding yourself. And it's basically the same principle that also makes fat loss a lot easier when you're using this tool. If you are hungrier, you can take days and eat a little bit more. You can even have a day or two in a surplus if you want to. That is going to make hitting your average goal more difficult, and you will have days where you'll have to eat less, but you can still respond to that hunger and give your body what it needs. And then you can also take advantage of days where you are less hungry. If you have a day where you wake up and you're like, I'm chilling today, maybe I will take advantage of that and be in a little bit more of a deficit. Then that allows you to do that and gives you more flexibility the rest of the week to eat a little bit more. So now I want to walk you through two examples of using this tool, one for bulking or being in a surplus and one for being in a deficit, to show you how much of a difference this makes in how flexible you can be with what you're eating throughout the week. So here's an example of a week in a bulk, at least for me. A lot of people, this would not be a surplus, but for someone my size, 2,600 calories would be a pretty darn decent surplus. So let's say your goal on average for the week while you are bulking is 110 grams of protein, 349 grams of carbs, and 85 grams of fat for a total of 2,600 calories. So you've gone through day 1 through 6 of the week. You've put in all of your macros and such. So I want to show you how little of a difference your macros make per day when you're averaging it out for the week. So you can see right now, the average is pretty close to the goal. The difference is, you know, pretty on point. Let's just play around with day 7 and see how far away from your macros you can get without it really making a difference. Let's see how much protein you can eat and still be relatively close to your goal. So the IIFYM rule book says you want to be within 5 grams per day. So let's try for the difference to be within 5 grams, yeah? 120 grams of protein? Nope, still well within 5 grams. 130 grams of protein? No, you can go higher. 140 grams of protein? Yeah, you can eat an extra 30 grams of protein, but how low can you go? That is the main question, because
ain't nobody looking to try to eat excess protein for the most part, because
chicken is boring.
Just kidding, chicken thighs are literally like my favorite food on the planet. But let's see how low we can go with protein. So it's a goal of 110, 100?
Nah.
You're good. Let's drop it down to 80. Huh, still good. How about 68? You can eat 68 grams of protein and still hit your average protein goal for the week. See how flexible this is? You can eat anywhere from between 68 to 140 grams of protein. That is a huge range and still hit your goal average. Let's look at carbs. Let's see first how low you would have to go with your carbs to not hit your average. 318 gives you the difference of 5 grams. That's 30 grams of carbs under. Let's see how many extra carbs we can eat, because everyone loves extra carbs. Try 390.
390.
That's 40 extra grams of carbs and keeps you within the 5 gram difference on average. Lastly, let's just see how little fat you can eat. Let's try 52. 52 is spot on. You can go as low as 52 grams of carbs if you feel the need to one day. And then you can go as high as 122 grams of carbs.
That's like a lot of avocados.
That is how little of a difference the day-to-day macros make. Now, let's have even more fun and look at being in a deficit, because let's face it, being in a deficit is harder than being in a surplus for most people. So here's an example of 1 week of cutting. These are your theoretical macro goals. This is not what I am recommending to lose fat for everyone. This is just a
example.
Random example.
Let's say you have a goal of 100 grams of protein, 190 grams of carbs, 71 grams of fat for a total of 1,800 calories. So you've logged day 1 through 6. You're pretty darn close to where you want to be on average. Let's see how much wiggle room we have when we're in a deficit. On the high end of protein, we can go up to 143 grams of protein if you just really love chicken. Or you can eat as little as 72 grams of protein. That's almost 30 grams of protein less. That's like an entire serving of protein less than you need to hit your average goal. On the carb end, you can go as low as 150 grams of carbs if you want. Although if you're in a deficit,
I don't know why you're trying to undereat carbs, because that's sad.
You can go as high as, get this, you can eat 220 grams of carbs and still be, I guess it's 5.4, so maybe a little less. 1, 2.
215, 218, 217.
There we go. You can eat 217 grams of carbs and still be hitting your average goal for the week. When you're in a deficit, those extra 30 grams of carbs, oof. Carbs are great. And then lastly, fat. I'm a huge fan of eating fat when I'm in a deficit, but let's see how low you can go with fat. 35 grams of fat if you really want to reduce your fat intake on your cut for some reason, or you can go as high as 105 grams of fat and still be in the deficit that you want to be in for the week. This is the magic of taking your average macros, of using the macro averager tool, is it allows you so much flexibility and so much more freedom to follow your hunger cues, and also life freedom in general. I should have mentioned this when I was talking about the benefits, but it allows you so much more flexibility to like go out with friends, or to, I don't know, any other time you would need to not be following your macros. You don't have to worry about those situations. You can just go with the flow, and the more you use this tool, the more you understand how little of an impact those occasional things have on your actual goals. Like right now I am in a deficit, and my goal is to be in a deficit for probably 3 weeks before I go back to maintenance. And yesterday I ate in a surplus. I had a board game night with my roommates. I had a pizza. I had 2 donuts. I had a bunch of other stuff, and I ended up in a surplus. And guess what? It's really not gonna make that much of a difference in the course of those 3 weeks. Like if I take the average over 3 weeks, those extra calories are going to be meaningless. Obviously you can't eat in a surplus every single day and still end up in a deficit. Like it's not going to work that much magic for you, unfortunately, but it allows you to have that flexibility, that freedom to go hang out with your roommates and play board games and have a pizza and see physically in front of you that it's not ruining your goals. So if you want to use this tool to help you reach your goals easier and more efficiently, again, you can download it for free. The link is down in the description box below. If you have any questions about how to use it, definitely let me know. I use this tool with almost all of my one-on-one clients, and it has drastically changed the game for them in a variety of different ways, so I cannot recommend it enough.
It sounds like a sales pitch.
It's a free download. I don't make money off of this. I'm just very passionate about this because I have seen firsthand the impact that it has had on people. It is straight up a game changer, which is why I dedicated an entire video to going through this and how it works and explaining the benefits, etc. So I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that if you use this tool, it does make your life a lot easier. If you like this video and you're excited to start using the macro averager, please give me a big thumbs up, really, to support me. I really appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, anyone else who is actively trying to lose fat, build muscle, etc. Put it on Facebook so that everyone can have access to this tool, because it's such a game changer. Have I said that enough? It's a game changer. Questions, comments, video requests, leave them down in the comment box. Make sure you subscribe to see future videos from me. Currently on a little bit of a fat loss journey, so I am documenting that, and you'll probably see this macro averager make multiple reappearances. Make sure you have a little notification bell turned on so that you don't miss future videos from me, and I will see you very soon. Bye.